Today's program is brought to you by OTCStockShark.com. For the latest and greatest OTC and Pink Sheets information, sign up for your account at OTCStockShark.com. Thank you for tuning in to TBC Today. I'm Brandon Vincent.
And I'm Angelina Soriano.
In today's financial news, worries that growth in Europe will become sluggish sent U.S. stocks sinking, while a stronger dollar bit into commodities. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 203 points, or 1.9% in recent trading. All but two of the Dow's components were in the red. American Express sank 4.3% as investors shunned riskier stocks, including financials. Alcoa sank 3.5% as metal futures declined. The Nasdaq Composite Index slid 2.7%, and the S&P shed 2.3%, with all of its sectors in the red. The Russell 2000 index of small-cap stocks plunged 2.8%. The euro sank to its lowest level since October of 2008, trading recently at $1.24 after new economic data showed core inflation in Spain turned negative in April. Deflation would make it harder for Spain to grow out of its debt woes. Some analysis questioned whether austerity measures announced this week in Spain and Portugal could lead to a civil strife. And Dutch bank chief executive told German television that there are some doubts about Greece's ability to repay debt.
In U.S. news, a controversial proposal to tax soft drinks did not make into a list of measures approved by Philadelphia's City Council to balance the city's fiscal 2011 budget. To offset revenue that would have been raised by the soda tax, the council approved a 9.9% increase in the city's property tax, a doubling of commercial trash collection fees, and a new fee on smokeless tobacco. The budget package would have a fund balance, $15 million short of where it should be, and that's a risky proposition. The planned 2 cents an ounce soda tax, which was strongly opposed by the beverage industry since it was announced in March, would have raised $77 million to help plug a $150 million gap in the coming year's $3.9 billion budget. The tax was promoted by the mayor's administration as a way of reducing soft drink consumption in a city where half the children are overweight or obese. The property tax increase would raise $86.2 million. The highest commercial trash fee is $7 million, and the smokeless tobacco tax $4 million. The council's budget package includes $17 million in spending cuts.
In today's international news, a 16-year-old Palestinian boy who had been throwing stones at Israeli cars passing his West Bank village near the city of Ramallah was shot dead after an Israeli settler whose car was hit opened fire. A Palestinian medic said the boy was shot in the back of his head and his two friends ran away after the motorist, armed with a rifle, exited his car and began firing at them. One of the other two boys said he and his friend kept running and were afraid to tell others what had happened. When the boy failed to return home, his family went in search of him and found his body laying face down in a field near their village. An Israeli military spokesman said a joint forensic team of investors and Palestinians was examining the circumstances of the death. Deadly violence in the West Bank, common at the start of this decade, has grown rare in the past couple of years as Palestinian authorities and Israelis militaries have increased coordination on law and order. But tensions between settlers and some Palestinians have been rising lately, with each group complaining that it's insufficiently protected from the aggression of the other group and vowing to take the law into its own hands.
In health news today, parents worried about putting very young children into daycare got some reassuring answers. Children who have high-quality care see academic benefits lasting into high school. The latest results from the long-running U.S. National Institutes of Health study showed children in high-quality child care scored slightly higher on measures of academic and cognitive achievement years later as teenagers. They were also slightly less likely to act out than peers who were in lower-quality child care. But children who spent the most hours in child care had a slightly greater tendency toward impulsiveness and risk-taking at age 15. Quality for childcare is usually measured by how much time the provider spends interacting with the children, as well as warmth, support, and cognitive stimulation. The ongoing study is meant to inform the policy debate on whether both parents should work when children are young and whether providing childcare is good for the children and their parents. Deborah Vandal of the University of California and colleagues tracked 1,300 children who have been studied since they were 1 month old, starting in 1991. They measured the quality, hours, and type of daycare, then collected results of standardized tests and interviewed the teens, their families, and schools.
Think you're too busy to work out? think again. Now there's the Ab Circle Pro, the fastest, easiest way to lose those love handles and get the sexy sculpted body you've always wanted.
The secret is the Ab Circle Pro combines cardio and abs to burn fat, while its unique friction-free track uses the momentum of gravity to target your entire midsection in a full circular motion, firing your core like no other machine has ever done. Best of all, it's fun and easy and takes just 3 minutes a day. And now, through this exclusive TV offer, the Ab Circle Pro can be yours to try in your home for 30 days for just $14.95. And if you call within the next 10 minutes, we'll send you Jennifer Nicole Lee's complete Lose Your Love Handle system, which includes our 3-minute express workout and nutritional guide, absolutely free.
Call 1-800-310-1646 to try Ab Circle Pro for $14.95 plus shipping with credit card order. Call now for free upgrade to priority processing. That's 1-800-310-1646.
In today's tech news, a team led by Stephen Heller of Stanford University set out to elucidate basic principles of how the inner ear detects sounds. But they also created batches of cells that can potentially replace damaged ones in the ear. Their findings are published in the May 14th issue of Cell. The inner ear contains tiny hair cells that deform when sound waves hit them. Little is known about how these cells transform acoustic waves into neural signals that we interpret as sound. Hearing has remained mysterious compared to other senses such as vision because the inner ear is less accessible and there are relatively few hair cells. Like certain eye cells, hair cells generally don't regenerate once they die. Therapies using stem cells or cells derived from embryos that can turn into myriad cell types can potentially restore normal hearing. Heller's team treated cells taken from mouse embryos with various signaling molecules that coaxed them into becoming cells that looked and functioned like normal hair cells. The team used a scanning electron microscope which forms high-resolution images by bombarding items with electrons. The images revealed that cells of varying height linked together and form molecule bundles. When the bundles were mechanically stimulated for a slender piece of glass, these cells generated electrical currents that resemble those produced by young hair cells. For patients who lose hair cells because of common causes such as noise damage, toxic compounds, or aging, there's a good possibility that regenerating these cells could be an alternative to using hearing implants. The method of creating hair cells in a dish will also allow scientists to discover molecules that enable hearing, and it will offer a way to screen for drugs that spur the growth of new hair cells. But there's still a long way to go to restore hearing. Researchers still have to figure out how to produce millions of hair cells, prevent stem cells from forming tumors, and translate the work to human cells.
In entertainment news, property once owned by Oscar-winning film star Sean Connery in the south of Spain is at the center of a money laundering investigation. 28 people are under judicial investigation in the case. The money laundering and malfeasance case, prompted by a complaint from a local resident, relates to a land which once belonged to him and which was reclassified under condition deemed suspicious by investigators. Police searched 2 law offices, one in the jet-set resort of Marbella, the other in Madrid, as part of the investigation. Connery bought the seaside with just east of Marbella in early 1970 and put it up for sale in 1998 for $9 million. The villa was knocked down and a 4-story luxury apartment complex was built on the land where it once stood.
In today's green news, is BP being honest with us about what they know and how bad things are in the Gulf of Mexico? Soon after the Deepwater Horizon rig exploded and sank, it was estimated that about 1,000 barrels of oil were leaking daily. Then that estimate was raised to 5,000 barrels. Then SkyTruth.org, using satellite and radar data, made an estimate of 25,000 barrels a day, and now the latest reports are that there could be more than 70,000 barrels leaking each day. But if BP had cameras down there almost from the start, why didn't they know this, or did they? Maybe BP couldn't make a good estimate of how the oil flow rate was coming, but isn't it strange that a couple of days after the release videos of the leaks that we suddenly get a new, independent estimate? First priority is to stop the leaks, and after that's done, BP should have to answer some tough questions. And maybe some new laws about information disclosure should be looked into. It makes a big difference to the general public and for engineers trying to stop the leak to know the magnitude of the spill. Resources need to be allocated differently, and the people trying to come up with technical fixes need to consider different things for a 70,000 barrel leak as opposed to a 1,000 barrel leak. Thank you for tuning in to TBC Today. I'm Brandon Vincent.
And I'm Angelina Soriano.